Alright, so what is the coiling core? Well, you've all heard what a braced core is. That's kind of what you're doing when you're doing any sort of squat or deadlift. You're really trying to squeeze your core and preventing your spine from moving. The coiling core is quite the opposite. And it's a way in which you need to move if you're doing anything athletic. So any sort of running or shuffling or just moving in an athletic sense, your spine is going to be moving through it. So, because if you're an athlete and you're constantly having a braced core, you're not going to be able to move that well. So this is a way to move that encourages that athletic position. So it comes from the idea of being balanced, and every step needs to be stable. And your power comes from being stable. So if you're not stable, you're not going to be able to push through the ground as well, and you're going to lose all that horsepower. So an example is if you are running on sand, which is a not stable surface, you can't run as fast because you're pushing through the ground that's moving. And so another example of this muscularly would be as if you're pushing through a loose foot as opposed to a rigid one. You're not going to be able to push through as hard because you don't have that solid foundation with the ground, and you need to be balanced and stable to have that foundation. So increasing that stability and that balance will help increase power and make you more athletic and just help you move better, because your body doesn't need to be braced and under tension because it doesn't feel safe. And so if your body doesn't feel safe, you're going to contract these smaller muscles, especially in your feet and your ankles, that don't need to be contracted, and that's going to make you slow because you have so much more tension. And that's where a lot of the immobility comes from, and from this lack of being able to move. And so another thing is that if you were to do a jerk, for example, you want to be loose, because loose you can move fast. So if you were to just do this here, just squeeze your arms as hard as you can, and just try and move your shoulders up as fast as you possibly can. It doesn't move that fast, but if you were to have your arms loose, you can shoot them up a little bit faster. So that's kind of the premise behind it, is that if you are stable, you have less tension, so you can actually move faster and move more efficiently. So that's the premise of it. And if you are constantly moving with tension and you're just really jacked up and you're always tense, you're going to cause pain because these muscles that shouldn't be working are working harder. And that's just going to cause this vicious cycle of pain because you're continually doing what your body always wants to do. So the coiling core will give you a way to reprogram that, so you're using the big muscles in a stable manner in order to help you move better. So that's kind of the whole idea, and that's going to help you increase your mobility and actually make your stretches and your rolling, those improvements will stay, and that's the whole goal here. And I think that this coiling core is one of the best ways to do that. So what the coiling core does is use your body's natural ability to create elastic energy. So instead of using that small muscular tension, it'll help use a little bit more slinging of your tendons, and it'll help use the momentum of your bones and your skeletal system to actually propel you forward. And this is free energy because it takes so little muscular effort. And it's just a way more athletic way to move. And so this is very different from the neutral spine way of thinking, because if you're just stuck here, you can't move very well. But if you're allowed to move through the torso and everywhere else, you're going to get a little bit more energy and a little bit more pop in that manner. And this relies on rotation. So every single motion that you are doing is rotation. So you think about walking, you think about running, you think about any kind of shuffling like that. If you were to do everything straight-legged or without rotation, you're just going to be stiff like a board, right? If you try walking without having your hips rotate or your shoulder or your spine rotate, you're not going to move very well. So we need to have that rotation in place, and that is what the coiling core is for. Adding in that rotation and using that rotational power to help move you better. And so ultimately what's going to do that is your latissimus dorsi, so your lat muscle. It is one of the biggest muscles that connects your shoulder to your glutes. So based on the posterior oblique sling, your right lat is connected to your left glute, and obviously vice versa on the other side. And so this large muscle is fully in control of your entire core. It is ultimately a core muscle. So if we can harness that to create torque and create rotation, it's going to help propel you forward. So that is the idea behind the coiling core. So let's stand up and get into it. Welcome to the Garage Lab. So feel free to stand up and try and follow along as I'm talking, or you can stay seated doing whatever you're doing, and you can follow and do the exercises we have for you after. So the first part of the coil, as what I said, is to try and maintain balance. So when you're just standing up, normal posture, feet under your hips, your head is in line with right between your feet, because that's where your center of gravity is. But if you were to lift up one leg, you have to make some adjustments in order to stay balanced. Because if you didn't and you just stayed neutral and then lifted up your leg, you're just going to fall to one side, right? So if we lift on one leg, we need to shift our head over so that it is, again, directly under our center of pressure, which is now our foot. So here, in order to make that happen, we need to make some adjustments with our shoulders and our hips. So we're head over our foot right here, and our eyes are staying level. So you can see that my shoulders are a little bit uneven, and I'm a little bit side bent to that same side. So this here is that side bend, and it's going to activate the lat, that big back muscle on this side, in and down. So you're kind of squeezing with your lat and side bending up and holding this position here. So from here, this is the loaded up coil position, and you're going to use this lat to get you out. And so as this lat is activated, the other arm is going to be a little bit higher up here. So you can kind of feel around and find where it's best for you. We don't want it too low, because then you're going to be pulled to neutral. If it's too high, you're going to be pulled outside of that place of pressure. So we're here, you kind of just feel up or raise it up. When it locks in, you kind of feel it lock. That's where you want to be. So this will kind of be your coil position right here. Head's over your foot, your eyes are going to be level, because your eyes want to be level. Lat engaged, this will be kind of like a face pull position. Head's over foot, side bend, and up. So you're ready to move anywhere from here. You got that lat to kind of load up and ready to use that elastic energy to propel you forward. So next, we're going to move that into kind of a lunge position. So this position here, we're going to have that same coil loaded up onto one side. So here will be my right leg. My eyes are going to be level. Instead of putting weight on my heel, because that's not a very athletic position, right? There's not much places we can go from here. We want to be on the balls of your foot, right? Because if you're not, you kind of get stuck, and there's only so many places you can go. So if you ever had a coach say, "Oh, you're stuck on your heels," or "Get on the balls of your feet," it's because you can't react on your heels, because it's bone. You need to react on the balls of your feet, because there's more musculature involved there. So when we get in this position, side bend, head over foot, we want to be on the balls of our foot, and we want to be actually on the outside of our feet here, because that will activate this lateral line, which goes into your glutes. So you'll use your glutes a little bit more than, say, your adductors. And if you use your adductors, you're generally getting this valgus knee force, which you don't really want. So we're here, heads over foot, weight is up and on the balls of our foot, and we're ready, and we can move from any direction here. And as you can see, my shin angle is about the same as my torso angle. See, in most lunges, you'll be upright, and you'll kind of have this weird angle, but you can't go anywhere from there. So from here, heads over. You can also, if you were to say, do a jump from here, all of these angles are even and the same, so that timing will be a little bit easier to try and get up and get that triple extension. So from there, we're going to move into some walking. And so the same thing occurs from walking. If you need to be balanced on this side, and then switch over to the other. So you've got that coil loaded up here, you're going to walk and switch, and now you're loaded up here and go. So this is ultimately how you want to walk. It's a little bit exaggerated here, because we're really trying to force it, but this is generally the principle. You're walking, keeping that head over your foot, and kind of shifting side to side as you go. So you're really trying to feel that rhythm and that timing of when your foot hits the ground and when the coil goes and propels you. So really trying to use that elastic energy of your lat and your back to push you up. So that's generally what the coil is. So we're going to give you a few exercises here just to try and feel it out and to try to figure out how it is, where it works for your body. A couple exercises here. Let's do a quick review. Whatever foot is in front, weight is on the ball of your foot, head is over foot, your lat is engaged here, and your arm is over top. And that shin angle always matches that torso angle. So you're ready to go any direction at any time. So the first one, we're just going to try and figure out that arms. So if you're here, just going to stand nice and tall, have this lat engaged, your head's going to be over top of this foot, and that arm's going to be here, and you're just going to try and switch. Kind of trying to maintain that tension to feel like, oh yeah, I'm staying strong, I'm staying active through my feet and through my arms. So you're going to do this side to side a couple times, and as you switch, right, your head's moving too because your balance is moving. And then as you get a little bit more comfortable with that, we can start loading up the coil a little bit and trying to get this kind of figure 8 motion. So you hear that arm's coming up as this arm comes down, and the same thing, you're loading that lat, kind of using that spring to get it up to the next one, making sure that head moves over your foot as you shift. And then the next one, we're going to make that a little bit more complicated. So you can go here, you can get kind of a little bit of a step. So you're just balancing, you're going from here to here. Same kind of deal, just adding your legs into it, kind of figure it out a bit. And then again, figure 8. Once you make it, you can start to understand it a little bit more here. And then last one would be to add a lunge into it. So you're here, head over a foot, shin angle is the same as that torso angle. You're going here, up, switch, back down. It's kind of a little mini kind of squat lunge here. Just like that. And then one other thing we'll have to do, because we'll have exercise like it, so you can't quite figure out how to do the transition yet, you can just do kind of one side. So you hold that coil down and you just stand up and maintain that same posture. So you're here and here, then you can switch and do here and here. It just kind of gets you used to that pattern of being on that one side and feeling the coil there before you're trying to switch it over. So hopefully you feel a little bit more connected through the ground. That's the point. And you want to be a little bit more balanced and active. So you should be ready to bounce in any direction at any time. So if someone were to yell in the background while you're doing this, duck, you'd be active enough to get out of the way and react to it. So this will be the reference point for all of our exercises in this workout. So let's get right into it.